Good afternoon, students of Chinese YMCA Secondary School. We are now going to play you the news clip from yesterday.
More than 130 firefighters battled a number 3 alarm fire in Yunlong this morning. They took more than 4 hours to control the blaze at a recycling plant. But as Elmi Long reports, green groups are worried about the environmental impact, given the fire burned toxic material.
The entrance was completely engulfed in flames. Thick smoke kept gushing out from the site at Shanhachun in Yunlong. It's home to a recycling plant with plastic bags and bottles piled up nearby. The fire broke out at 5:40 a.m. Within an hour, it was upgraded to a number 3 alarm fire that covered an area roughly 40 by 40 meters in size.
The area was very large, and there were a large quantity of plastic recycling materials. Regarding the cause of fire, we will further investigate from different aspects.
It took more than 130 firemen, 4 jets, 5 breathing apparatus teams, and over 4 hours to put out the blaze. This man in the neighborhood spoke of his relief to learn the fire didn't spread to his area. For some environmentalists, there was nothing to rejoice about, given how frequently recycling plants have caught fire in recent years. In the past 2 years, there's been at least 3 other number 3 alarm fires at recyclable storage sites in the New Territories. Like this morning's blaze, no casualties were reported in the other fires, but that hasn't stopped this green group from worrying about the environmental impact, having seen the fumes released today. Edwin Lau, executive director at the Green Earth, said cancer-causing dioxins are released from burning plastic, which may find its way into farmland and ponds through rainwater. He also urged authorities to test toxin levels in air, soil and water samples and inform nearby residents of the results. Elmi Long, TVB News.
Well, the battle rages on between students and authorities at Hong Kong's universities. More messages relating to independence are appearing on the democracy walls of several institutions. Winnie Wong tells us more.
A message calling for Hong Kong independence has appeared on the democracy wall of yet another university. This time, it's the Polytechnic University. The words say Hong Kong is not China in English and refuse to sink. The only way is independence in Chinese. It comes after similar messages appeared on the bulletin board of first Chinese University, then City University, and after that, Education University. In fact, this isn't the first time messages like this have appeared at PolyU. Earlier, messages supporting independence and students at CUHK were removed by college authorities. This has got some students up in arms. They marched to the president's office to demand an explanation and apology, but were stopped by security. Former Student Union President Franco Wong accused the university of violating their freedom of speech. A similar situation at Lingnan University, except it's the other way round. A message condemning calls for independence recently appeared on its democracy wall and was later ripped away. Speaking to the press at an anniversary event today, Lingnan University President Leonard Chang took a more liberal stance. He said although he does not advocate Hong Kong independence, he doesn't see a problem with just putting up posters on the school's democracy wall. He added that the heads of several universities had exchanged opinions on the matter, but did not reach a consensus. At a separate event, Executive Council convener Bernard Chan also waded into the conversation. On calls the posters should be prosecuted, Chan says he believes this is an internal affair and should be left for the institutions to deal with themselves. Winnie Wong, TVB News.
Beijing's Taiwan Affairs Office said attacks on the mainland's legal or political system using the trial of Taiwanese activist Lee Myung-je will prove futile. This comes after Lee's wife and supporters rejected the authority of the Hunan court that tried him. Taiwan Affairs Office spokesman An Fengshan said that the legal rights of Lee and his family had been upheld and guaranteed. A meeting between Lee and his wife and mother had been arranged after the hearing at the request of his family. On Monday, the community college teacher and pro-democracy activist confessed to attempting to subvert the central government, according to videos of his hearing released by mainland authorities. His wife and supporters slammed the trial for being unfair.
Elsewhere, U.S. President Donald Trump is downplaying the latest round of UN sanctions to stop North Korea's nuclear tests. The UN Security Council voted to step up sanctions after North Korea conducted its 6th nuclear test last week. The measures come as Washington tries to turn up the pressure on Beijing to cut off commerce with Pyongyang. The UN Security Council imposed new restrictions on North Korea after it detonated what it said was a hydrogen bomb on September 3rd. Textile exports are now banned and imports of crude oil have been capped. But the measures fell short of Washington's goal of a total ban on oil imports and asset freezes of top North Korean officials. Ahead of a meeting with Malaysia's Prime Minister, Trump said it was nice to get a unanimous vote at the UN.
We think it's just another very small step, not a big deal. Those sanctions are nothing compared to what ultimately will have to happen.
Well, welcome State Councilor Yang to the State Department.
Meanwhile, U.S. Secretary of State Rex Tillerson met with State Councilor Young Jie-chul as the U.S. tries to put pressure on China to cut off commerce with North Korea. Trump, who is expected to make a stop in China in November during his first official visit to Asia, has criticized Beijing for not doing enough to pressure North Korea over its nuclear program. Washington so far has mostly held off on new sanctions against Chinese banks and other companies doing business with North Korea, given concerns of retaliation by Beijing and possibly far-reaching effects on the world economy. North Korea today vowed to redouble efforts to resist mounting international pressure. The North's foreign minister said the resolutions are an infringement on its right to self-defense and are aimed at completely suffocating the country through an economic blockade. South Korea confirmed today that radioactive xenon gas detected near the border was from North Korea's latest nuclear test. But officials say they can't confirm if the test had been for a hydrogen bomb, as Pyongyang claimed.
A massive search and recovery operation is underway to help those hardest hit by Hurricane Irma. Much needed relief as residents from the Florida Keys to the Caribbean islands begin picking up the pieces. Sonia Artero reports.
It's utter devastation for those who no longer recognize their home in the Florida Keys they once called paradise. It's now a wasteland of flattened or decimated homes.
The roof is off, and that seems to be the breaking point. That really is not abstract anymore. It's shoveling garbage out of your living room.
The most surreal sight, boats littering the highway of this famous sailing community. This comes as more than 15 million residents are suffering in sweltering heat without power. Florida is grappling with the largest power restoration in U.S. history. 20,000 workers from 30 states are helping to restore electricity. Meantime, search crews, including the Navy, have taken to land, air, and sea to help find anyone stranded or in need of help. Irma ruined so many homes in Jacksonville, plaguing it with historic floodwaters.
First time it's ever come in the house, and it was up about that high.
In Immokalee, twisted metal is all that remains of many mobile homes.
Make sure that people get shelter, get food, get water, because some of these mobile homes is not livable no more.
Life-saving relief is also desperately needed in the Caribbean islands. On his way to help those devastated by Irma in the British territories, Britain's Foreign Secretary met with UK Defence Forces, lending a helping hand.
Huge quantities of supplies coming in. we are making a big, big difference to the lives of these people.
French President Emmanuel Macron traveled to meet hard-hit residents in the French Caribbean island of St. Martin, where he vowed to help rebuild with hurricane-proof structures. Back in the pummeled Florida Keys, residents vow to stay Florida fierce.
Emotionally, to me, it hurts. You know, we're going to be strong for each other.
They're in survival mode because that's what they need to do. Sonia Artero, TVB News.